Anyway, let's go ahead and formally get started. Good morning. It is December 6th. I can't believe it's December of 2025 already. Like, where did the year go? I don't even know what happened, but welcome here to the last Property and Paper Live of the year. My name is Dawn Rickaba of NoteQueen.com, and we're here to talk about owner financing and notes, and that thing that connects the note business with the real estate business. And I just love what I call the dance between property and paper. And if you're not subscribed, if you're listening on YouTube or podcast, please go over and subscribe so that you can participate in these calls live, get your questions answered if you got a scenario that you need help with. A lot of people are at this time of year trying to figure out taxes. What am I going to do? What's my overall positioning? People have small portfolios of rentals, like saying, hey, here's the situation, Don. I got up. And what do you think we should do with this to position? We're kind of getting tired of the landlord business. So anyway, and additionally, what we want to talk about too is as we go into increasing times of let's say what seems like chaos and is chaos to a lesser or greater degree, depending on your personal reality bubble. But how can we, in the face of the kinds of things that we're seeing unfold in the market, how do we position ourselves? Okay, so those are the things that we're going to talk about first. So I promised right off the bat that I would go over a note transaction, just something that came across my desk, and I just want to use it as a teaching tool to see what you guys think you would do. Okay, hi Don. The subject property is 40 acres of land in Missouri. And the borrower uses it for her horses and ranch business. I don't think the borrower has poor credit. We just don't have a lot of options on land and wasn't sure if you could price it for us. So if you guys want to unmute and talk, I mean, are there any of you that already would look at this or say no thank you?
Probably no.
Tell me more, Jim. Why do you say that?
Well, I don't see, if something goes wrong with it, I don't see anything that you could do with it, frankly.
Basically, if you're talking about if you had to repossess it, you had to foreclose. So, right? Because when we're looking at a note, I thought it was going to be cold, but I'm not. We got to make sure that we're happy if it pays and we're happy if it doesn't pay, because the final payer of the note is, of course, the collateral, the thing that's securing it. So if you end up with it after going through a legal process of foreclosure or a deed in lieu, you got to make sure that you're going to get your money back out of it. Right?
Can it subdivide it up into like 5-acre tracts and sold as mini ranches?
Hey, you know what? There's some thinking, right? So everybody has a different answer. If you lived next door to this and you've been wanting that property anyway, would you buy that? Right? Yeah. Okay, so it just depends who's the buyer. But right off the top, there's a lot fewer buyers for raw land. And if they do, the underwriting has to be a lot better generally, a lot bigger down payment. And anyway, but just off the top, there's a lot more buyers for that, bread and butter product of single family homes. There's just no two ways about it.
That's true.
Right?
True.
Okay. When was the value established? Just July of this year through the property sale. So they just said, here's what we sold it for, so this is what it's worth. Now, of course, what would you do if you were serious about this and you got under contract at a price that you wanted? What would you do? Would you say, oh, well, it sold for that, so it must be worth that? Would you say that?
Not at all.
Nope. And Sue Ellen. Hey, Sue Ellen, great to see you in here. What's the income and is it contracted? That I do not know. this is just a very surface level thing, but great questions to ask. So basically the sales price in July was $175,000 for 40 acres. The down payment was $15,000. So let's see, if I take my trusty calculator, let's figure out a percentage of that. So 15,000 divided by 175,000. So that's just shy, it's basically a 9%-ish down payment. So let's call it 10% down. What do you guys think of 10% down?
On 40, it probably needs to be more.
Yeah, so these foundational principles in the note business are that 10% down is usually considered a decent down payment on an owner-occupied single family, okay? But for land, what would you think? Because how we just want to know that when we buy this note, it's like this real estate annuity. The value of that note in general, unless you're buying it hoping that you get the land underneath, right? You just want the payments to come in. So the more predictable you think, the more guaranteed that those payments are just going to come in like clockwork and you don't have to think about it, the stronger that income stream is to you. So on land, if she quits paying, is there anybody, I don't think it's being rented. It's just she's using it for her own ranch business, right? For her horses and cows.
Yeah, she doesn't really have much invested in it. She doesn't have much money invested in it, and she doesn't have any sort of business running. It sounds like it's for her own pleasure. And
Right.
if things change for her, okay, well, I don't have much in it. I'm moving.
Okay, if things get tight and she's got a mortgage on her house and she's got a mortgage on this land, what do you think she's going to pay first? Right? She's going to go like, I'd lose my 15 grand and all the payments I've paid so far. Oh, well.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, so now the original note was 160, right? 175 minus the 15 down is a first note of 160,000. And they put an interest rate of 9.5. And they fully amortized it over, not 360, but 361. 361. That's just a good reminder. When you're doing seller financing, you make it up. Right? You don't have to go by the bank conventions. It's whatever works. For some reason, it's amortized fully over 361 payments with a balloon payment due in 61 months. So basically 5 years. Basically amortized over 30, due in 5. And that made the monthly payment about $1,345. Okay? And everything has been paying fine, but and the balloon payment in 5 years from the beginning, which is about 57 payments from now, will be $155,000 and change. Okay, so there's only $20,000 of principal reduction until the balloon. So what's her exit strategy, do you think? Like what's she gonna do? Is she going to go down to the community bank and are they giving loans for, I don't know, maybe they are. Right? So just think about that. If there's not a clear exit strategy, guess what's going to happen in 5 years? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, what is it? What would you do? 5 years, dang it. I'm supposed to get my money. On the paper, it says I'm supposed to get my money. And I did my calculator thing, so my yield was a thing so I could get what it says on the paper. But what happens is real life. So what happens if they can't pay it off, right? And the market's down. Let's say it's dropped in half. Now what are they going to do? Are they going to bank loan? I would want to know. Do they? Oh, we have a inheritance coming. We have, some other investment funds maturing. We have these other assets we could leverage if we needed to. I mean, these are things I would ask. But the first thing, before I even get to making an offer on this, I'm just helping you go through what I'm thinking about, right? Any other comments so far? Yeah, Sue Ellen says you could do a deed in lieu. Sometimes you don't have to foreclose. But still, if you get the property back and now you have to resell it, probably the cash value is a lot less than the owner finance value, wouldn't you think? Because if I was looking at this, I go, okay, it sold for 175 with a 10% down. My guess is the cash price is going to be at least, let's say, like, I would just peg it at 150. Off the top of my head, without guessing, without a BPO, without an appraisal, I'd say, I'm going to say the value of this property is 150 and go from there. And if I want to be, let's say I would do this, what if it was in my town or it was next door to me? Okay, well, I still want to be at 50 cents. So you can see that I'm not going to buy the whole note, right? It would be silly. So what do most people do? What do most buyers do when there's a balloon payment? What's a very typical thing that you're going to see? All the time, you'll have plenty of people that will buy the payments up to the balloon and let the note holder deal with the balloon. That's very, very common to see. Like, yeah, we don't know about that balloon. If they're going to pay it off, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we just are going to buy a partial. We're going to buy the payments up to the balloon, and Mr. and Mrs. Note Seller, you get to keep it. You keep the balloon, and if they pay, wait, look how much money you get, right? Right? I could give you $40,000 now for these next 57 payments, and then you're going to get 155. You're getting more than the balance of your note. How lucky for you, right? But if it doesn't pay, then what? Then you're just going out further and further. So now, and I'm assuming that credit is good, right? Until proven otherwise, or it's bad until proven good, basically. But anyway, so can you see that no matter what the yield is, first in your mind, do I like the collateral? Do I want it? What's my would I be happy if I had to take this back? Number two, if I do want it, what's the maximum ITV, investment to value? If the property, in my mind, if it's sold owner carry at 175, okay, 150. Now max is 75, no matter what, 75,000, and probably below that. Because I really wanted, now if there was a 40% cash down payment, that would be different. 50% cash down payment, that's a different story right there. That's someone who has skin in the game, and already if the market drops in half, I still have equity, protective equity coverage, right? So, now, does the story change? And then you calculate your yield. Okay, yield is like the third thing that you're gonna say, okay, if I'm gonna do this, what am I gonna need? Okay, it's land. A lot of people need like 15% minimum on land. 14, 15, 16, 17. So, now what if the collateral was a brand new mobile home on an acre in a nice subdivision? How does that change the story? Now you might look at it, right? Okay,
Right.
now I like the collateral, and you know what? People don't get tired of living in houses, so there's going to be someone that you can rent it, right? Theoretically, even if you couldn't exit another way. So then, but would you buy the whole thing? How long has this note been going? Since July. So we're working on 4 or 5 months, 6 months. Yeah. Sue Ellen says what? She'd go, what's the zoning? Let's say it's the most attractive zoning ever, whatever that is. Okay.
So along those lines, though, I'd want to know where this land was. Is it in the path of development by any chance, or is
Right.
it just out in the middle of nowhere? You know, that makes a big difference in my calculations.
Yeah, exactly. And is it landlocked? One time, I bought a note with an investor friend of mine, and it was a great property close to, I forget in Idaho, it was kind of popular. You know that big fancy place? Anyway, it starts with S. Sun Valley or something. Anyway, but this acreage afterwards, it was landlocked. It had no proper easement.
Oh,
So
wow.
like, whoops. Now, thank goodness it paid. It's fine. It worked out. But like, that was a mistake. That was an oversight. Great piece of land in the zone of development of this really nice area. And yeah, whoops. Okay, so things like that can happen. Also, is there any infrastructure? I mean, how far away is power, water? You know, do I have to do well and septic, or is city water, you know, available? So there's all sorts of considerations. But even if this was a 800 credit score borrower, put 10% down, the collateral's great. Would you still buy a full on this? I guess some people probably would. This might get too fanatical.
You were saying 50% down?
If it's land,
Right?
in this deal it was land. 50% down, I would do this. I would.
And I would, yeah.
Probably. Subject to the other questions. Yeah, Sue Ellen says, not me. I never buy land unless I have a plan to develop.
Plan to develop, yes.
Right? Okay, so good. To your point, Robin, you were saying, hey, could I subdivide this, sell it off in little parcels? A lot of people make a lot of money doing that.
Absolutely.
Right? So, but anyway, if it was secured by a house, I would still, it's not seasoned. It's not seasoned even a year. Okay, so seasoning means how many on-time payments have come in. And generally 12 months is reasonable seasoning. And I've told you guys before, sometimes I'll buy, if it's a small partial, sometimes I'll buy a lot sooner than that, depending. But if this is A paper, you'll probably have an institution that'll pick this up at 3 to 6 months of seasoning with not too much of a discount. So anyway, just a little exercise, and I wanted to tell you a story that I just thought of. A deal that, let's see, we've been in this for over 10 years now. There was a mobile home park in Alabama that sold for $400,000, and they put 50% down. And then we bought the $200,000 note at $190 or something. Okay, so because it made, whatever, the numbers made sense at that point. And everything went fine for a long time. They did actually have a balloon, but the investor said, we don't care, they're paying on time, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride. So it was initially a 2-year balloon, but they're paying 10+% on it. And so then it started, okay, 2 years ago, it's like, now they're getting behind every couple months. Like 2-3 times a year, I've got to start dogging him like, where's the payments? And now, if you're going to sign the loan extension, I need you to, pony up here, right? So it just became more and more of a headache until finally they just quit paying and said, oh, we're working with our attorney to do, restructure the debt and all these things. Can you just give us a little while? And my investor on this said, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Give them a little bit more. Anyway, long and short of it, it's like, okay, that's enough of that. And I said, let's start foreclosure. And it's like 65 spaces. It's the only area zoned a mobile home park within the city limits. So it's actually quite a lot of guys like that, right? So anyhow, so this is a super happy story, right? Except for the brain damage I had having to deal with this. Okay, so the balance, let's just say the payoff amount due to the underlying investor, which is all I'm really worried about right at this moment, right? Is, let's say call it $175,000 if you include the attorney's cost to start the foreclosure and all that. So $175,000. And he's already made his money back. He's already at, when he gets that off, right? When he gets that back from the foreclosure, I think his 190, I don't know, easy double, right? Easy double on his money after all this time, better than 10%. And then It was so funny. There were so many weird little things that came up because then the people that were managing the park really weren't on title to the park, but they were supposed to be on title. But they had switched somehow ownership in the background, but it wasn't recorded in the deed, but nobody cared. My investor didn't care. The money's coming, you know, blah, blah, until the money doesn't come. Anyway, so he's going to foreclosure and he's like, I don't know what it's worth. It seems like you can't go wrong on this, but I don't want you to end up on title to something that there's a big bunch of liabilities. We need to check title. Even if they're willing to give you a deed in lieu, you got to make sure you want it, right? Because if you go through foreclosure, it kind of cleans things up. So if you get a deed in lieu, everything's still attached to the property. So I'm walking him, I'm doing all the elbow grease, you know, for him. It's like, here, we're going to work this out. The long and short of it is there's someone that's willing to come in after all these variations. There's someone going to buy that note for, instead of even waiting for him have to finish foreclosure, they're going to buy his note for $225,000, $46,000 more than the UPB plus fees plus everything, right? Because this is someone who's local who wants to develop this thing, right? So I actually have never seen that personally where, so now he's like, he would have been doing great just to get all the money back. Now he's getting I don't know, close to a $50,000 bump.
Wow.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So he's like, wait, so what would I have made? What would I have made if it just paid as agreed? And I said, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I go, what am I making now? And I go, this. And he's like, wow, that worked out really, really well. So anyway.
It's all in the neighborhood.
Huh?
It's all in the neighborhood.
Yep. But the thing is, you cannot force, we had no way of knowing what the park actually owned if it was just the land, because they changed things around so much under the hood, you know, and we didn't have any books. What's the income? We couldn't say, here, you can buy this, but we couldn't force any documentation, any numbers out of them, right? So it's like someone's going in blind. We don't know what the cash flow is, but someone was willing to pay $225,000 and take over, like, whatever we found, we good, right? So that was a really good story. I like that one. Okay, so let's, hi Clarissa, good to see you. Okay, now, what else we got? I know, Robin, you wanted to ask a question. Is there anyone else that wants to share something, ask a question, or has to dodge early and you just want to say something? Or I know it's the holiday season.
Well, my position is that I don't have enough knowledge like the others on the call where I can find my own deals and do them. Okay, I'm just not confident enough to do that. But I could participate in a small level. So am I missing something? I'm on a lot of calls, but I'm not on every call. But is there a way to invest like in your business where it's a smaller scale and I can do what I'm limited to do and partner up with a firm or with someone like yourself on a smaller scale if I'm ready to go, like I'm ready to go do some bird dogging or whatever that means. Is there an opportunity to work with and for someone right now until I get on my own feet?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for people who are interested in, I have a form on my website that people can fill out. It's a passive investor form. Okay, so go ahead and fill that out, anyone who's listening. And in terms of the bird dogging and these things, I'm kind of working, I'm just kind of always working that around. How can I work with people? But the reality is, well, like in the old, let's say in the old days, I had this little tiny note. It's so funny. The purchase price of this was a while back. So the purchase price of the house is in California was something like 150,000. This was north of Lancaster for Palmdale area, for those of you who know that area. And they put 140 down, and there was a $10,000 note in first position. Okay, that's really, really safe, right? But it's such a small note. You know, there's the paperwork to do a note that's 7,000 is the same as the paperwork and the time it does to a $700,000 note. So, and what you can make off of it is a lot less. So usually there's sometimes, in fact, I gave that one to my kids because they had a little money saved up, and I said, to you two, you buy this, you buy half. We bought it at 50 cents on the dollar because you got to make some money on it, right? And they each made, I don't know, $1,800 when on top of their principal when it was all said and done. But there's not a lot of little tiny notes that are safe, just as a matter of fact. Or if there are a lot of notes, these land notes that are, there's a lot of land notes. They put down a little bit down payment and it's raw land, and oh, but you can have an 18% return. And then what? If you get it back, right? So they put $500 down, and they're going to pay $300 a month for the next 84 months. Maybe they will. Right. So generally it's so, and if you can take, so this is what I want to segue into right now, if someone doesn't have any more commentary on this. But yes, people are always looking for capital partners, and I do want some sort of affiliate bird doc sort of program. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I'm on the lam for figuring out how that could work, where I can work more closely with people or on an affiliate basis and things like that, and it still makes sense for everybody. But if I had a little bit of money, yep, and Clarissa is saying, for me, no matter the size of the note, the most important thing is whether I like the collateral. Thank you for that. Good commentary, right? Because you may get it back. Okay, so do you guys follow like the general market news in terms of you paying attention to precious metals at all? The silver squeeze? Okay, the markets are getting this close to breaking on that. Were you aware? Was it just last week, Jim? You're nodding your head.
Well, I was thinking about gold because I'm a jeweler, and I'm thinking gold at 350, and then it's now over $4,000. So,
yeah. Okay. So in a time where we have the bubble is the fiat money bubble. That's the bubble. It's in the money. That's why things aren't going up. The dollar purchasing power of the dollar is going down. Okay. So in a climate where we could have things shift really quickly, the buying power of the dollar, maybe it'll stay strong for another handful of years. I don't know. Or maybe tomorrow we wake up, just like anytime there's a big change. The people back in 1933, in 1971, in 2008, you wake up and the world's different the next day. There's no more time to scurry about. Oh my gosh, I just got my lemon water everywhere. Okay, so anyone who hasn't already, I would just say, what's going to go up when if inflation gets out of hand and the buying power of the dollar goes down? How do you preserve your buying power? Real assets, hard assets, okay? So we're in a time where commodities of all kinds, but you got silver, gold, copper, lots of things, right? You
Don't forget Bitcoin.
Oh, absolutely. So a lot, I follow a lot of channels and I listen to a lot of stuff all the time. And so I'm always a fan, like, okay, I love the note business. I love real estate. Real estate's a hard asset. And also, if it went down 50% in value, are you okay with that? It might go up another 100%. It could go down 50%. So then it's got a cash flow at least and carry itself, right? Either way, I just think everybody should have, I don't know, just think about it and feel what's right for you. But 10 to 25% in precious metals actually doesn't sound crazy to me. and Bitcoin and XRP and some of these things, these are the new financial systems. Did you guys get the little memo that even Bank of America now is like, go buy crypto now. They wouldn't even let you. They shut down my credit card, Bank of America, when I was trying to buy crypto in 2017. They shut me down. Now they're saying, hey, go in there, right? So anyway, that's what I would do. Of course, I've got stuff everywhere, and also have some cash. And I've since the last 2 years, every now and then I said, please get prepared, right? Food, water, cash under the mattress, small bills. What if you have to deal, the banks are shut down for a little bit, the power goes down for a little bit? Just think how you're going to survive. And so to me, I have small bill cash. I've got some in the bank or out there, some in my possession. Okay, so that whole deal where they had to close the COMEX market, I think, right? They had to stop trading. And they said, oh, the computer's overheated, or I don't know. There was some story like that. But the understory seemed to be, well, somebody in some other country said, hey, I want to take delivery of my paper contracts, 400 million ounces of silver. We want it. We don't want the paper. We want the physical silver. And I think it crashed them because they don't have it. They're trading on multiples. I think what they admit to is for every 380 things that they sell, let's say ounces or contracts, I think they only have the silver to back up one. And that's what they're admitting to. So it's probably thousands of times. So that's how they manipulate the price down. That whole system breaks. The silver squeeze could break everything, because as soon as enough people stand for delivery, they don't have it. And then the confidence crashes. Okay. And then we already know that not that I understand these things implicitly, but the Japanese, the carry trade, there's a lot of things moving where anytime we could wake up and things are different. Okay. So I'm just saying, to me, if I had a little bit of money and I had no silver, I'd go down to my local coin store. That's what I do with a little bit of money. Buy some silver ounces, things like that. But so everyone's different. Just look at your overall portfolio and say, hey, I got some real estate, I got some notes, I got some precious metals, I got some crypto. Now, some people think I'm crazy. Some people think I don't go far enough. Right?
What's silver trading at right now?
Pardon?
What's silver trading at right now?
I think it was like 58 last time I checked, yesterday. Okay, you guys, 2 years ago, or not, maybe even less, it was under $30 an ounce. We've doubled. And
I've got a bunch of silver flatware, and I was looking at, I think it was 25, not that long ago.
To me, it's not unreasonable that goes an easy double from here, if not much, much more. Okay, just because that's the poor man's gold. Like I don't know. I just like knowing that if I wake up, the lights aren't on, there's no banking, you can't get money, you can't do anything online. Well, I got a little cash. In the meantime, we can trade things. I got some silver coins. Keep a few of those on hand. That's real money. The fiat system is not real money. Okay, fiat's not real money. So anyway, just hard assets is a really great way. Or you've got to get in these cash flow situations where you're at least beating inflation or having a chance to, right? So if inflation's whatever they say, it's probably a lot more. But so just to maintain your buying power, you've got to be making a pretty, 8, 9, 10 and above % on your money. Generally, right? So who else wants to share I'm pretty used to just saying whatever I think, but who wants to come out and say what they think what you should do? What are you guys doing to position? Oh, you know what? I even have a silver miner that I bought. You know, the mining companies, they go up usually multiples, and I've had that for probably 2 or 3 decades. You know, that money was doing nothing for a long time, and now it seems like, wow, I could do really well with that silver mining company. So anyway, I do lots of different things. So
I've got shares in an iron mine, and with what's happening with the tariffs and stuff like that, I mean, you don't make steel without iron, and so that one made sense to me.
yeah, things like that. What else are people in? Well, you know what?
I'm in stock and stuff too, Dawn.
Say-
Stock, and I'm about to do. This is Kenesha. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
Kenesha.
I'm about to do. Of course, I'm doing still notes. Of course, mortgage, real estate, but also I buy gold and silver.
Yeah.
I am. Somebody is teaching me covered calls
Oh,
on the stock market, so I'm about to buy 100 shares of something. I still have to do my due diligence on whatever asset I want to get. And then once I have 100 shares, I can just, start selling covered calls on it. And
yeah. See,
I'm
there's so
gonna
many.
give away.
Thank you for sharing. There's a lot of ideas out there. So anyway, it's just a time where anything could happen. Anything could happen, but hard assets are going to go up in an inflationary cycle, and you need to have cash flow, because I don't want to care. Like, if I have my real estate holdings, I don't want to care what they're worth. Do they cover themselves? Do they pay for themselves and throw off income that I can live off of? Right? And notes, of course. So notes, the income, and you got to write it, because the savers and the people that don't have hard assets, and there's a whole bunch of people in the U.S. that don't have any exposure to the stock market, and to them it really wouldn't matter personally. Okay, the stock market goes down in half. Oh well, their life still goes on. But what will happen is the people that used to feel rich, that 10% that owns, half the rest, keeps the rest of the economy, they're going to all of a sudden feel poor, and they're not going to be spending money. So that's going to trickle down. More layoffs, more this, more that. I think there's a lot of exciting things happening. It's such a really interesting thing where there's so many crazy, we're on the edge of things are about ready to be in a way they've never been before. I just think we're in new territory where they're resetting the financial system in one way or another. You can already see it. You can already feel it. And on the other hand, when I unplug and I just get up in the morning, go into my little meditation room and just sit, there is so much energetic presence that is so thick. It's amplified as well. Just that feeling, like all the energy is higher. The things that are getting crazier and crazier, but also the things that are getting like happier and happier. And it's like, okay, I need to cry about that thing. Oh, I remember that old thing. Oh, I'm still kind of like carrying a wound about that. I'm gonna get through that. And you just like shed this stuff as things come up. Life is so great. It wants us to live our best versions of themselves, so it's not gonna let us slide by. These are times like, here's this thing that you've stuffed for 30 years. It's time to fix. It's time to look at this and move it through. Or an idea that you have that's no longer relevant. It's no longer applicable. You took a wrong conclusion from a past experience. Now it's time to, shake that off. There's just, like in my own personal reality bubble, just taking with my own family and the dynamics that, there are some dynamics that I've always felt really blessed with family. But like, there are some things that are 180, like we look at, I go, in the last 10 months, how did this, these sisters are now besties? And I don't know, it's like there's a level of goodness and elevation and power that's coming online. I don't know if you're feeling it, but there's so many really, really good things happening at the same time that all this other stuff. So it's just like,
You're right, Dawn. It's like spiritual movement. happening.
It is. You can. It's so palpable, and people's lives are changing like 180. Like a week is a year. Okay, you were dealing with an issue. Oh, and now you're done. There's just so much support. If you, anyway, that's my reality bubble. It just keeps getting more and more and more better, and it. Even the stuff that's crazy and concerning, it used to worry me more. I used to have a lot of more anxiety, like, have I thought of everything? Have I thought of everything? You know, have I done, and if this happens, and this, now I don't know. There's just a quietness and a peace, almost like I'm gonna, even if there was a big train wreck, like I'd be watching it in slow motion and I would just feel, I don't know. My level of overall anxiety has really just gone down dramatically. Just being in the presence, I don't know how to say it. Anyone have words that I'm not coming up with?
Biblical words, it's blessed assurance.
Yeah, blessed assurance and the peace that passes understanding, and also accepting I can't control everything. So, and just like, and I could die, and I could lose everything, and, you know, and okay. But right now, look at this beautiful full moment. Thank you, Clarissa says that's true in my world too. The energy is strong and very high vibe. I totally agree. Mark says, hi, Mark. Any thoughts about the billionaires building very expensive underground bunkers, right? Plus the money missing in the government to build the tunnels and the infrastructure. Man, that has been going on so long, right? I think when we were, isn't that why we had 9/11? Because the next day they were supposed to discuss what happened to 4 trillion or 21 trillion, I don't know, something big in the government. You know, we lost $4 trillion, where'd it go? We don't know. Oh, 9/11, next day. Forget all about that. It was 21 trillion, I think back in the day, 2001. Where's the $21 trillion? I mean, in my personal bank account, if I lose 21 trillion, like I feel that, you know what I'm saying? Okay? I'm just saying that this is a time where there are, the more awake you're willing and able to be, to see things more, I don't know, it's really crazy out there, the distortions. But, let's say you become aware of a thing. Well, there's this thing that they're going to do. Or, yes, the bunkers, what do they know that we don't know? Okay? Or this attack is planned on this, or they're going to do this, and we know Palantir and all this stuff. There's a lot of, and the CBDCs and the digital IDs and all of this. It's very scary. And so then I just go, anything that used to go, oh my God, that is really alarming. But now I just go, oh, now I know what I want to pray for. Or now I want to know how I want to use my vision to make that different. Instead of getting anxious about it, I go, okay, I'm going to use my creative and my prayer, whatever, the combination of things, whatever, I just like, oh, I'm going to pray about that. And I'm at least going to clear it out of my own body, so I don't resonate with that. And I do think that miraculous things are happening. As crazy as they get, I think there's so many miraculous things happening. But we have to be able to move through our own shadow. When things come up, if we see something ugly in ourselves, we gotta call it. No BS. Dawn, you know what? That's what you are. You did that. And I go, yep, wow, I did. I see it. That's not pretty. That doesn't smell good. Okay, but since I see it, then now it's aired out and it's gonna shift and it's gonna move. Same thing, we have a lot of things collectively in our society, in our culture, that's gonna come up, that has been coming up for a while, but it's gonna get so loud, it's going to be very disturbing, I think. Very hard to deal with disillusionment, darkness, shadow, malintent. It's really, really hard. I mean, I grieved 2 years straight. I was grieving during those COVID years where I'm just like, I cannot believe the darkness of this agenda. And I'm so grieving so hard for what people are doing to themselves, and they have no idea what they're doing to themselves and their kids. I was like so devastated. That's why if I get super, super wealthy, when those, med beds or whatever, when the healing technologies come out, a lot of my money's going to go to that because there's got to be a way to fix, a lot of these dastardly things. So anyway, here I am blabbing and blabbing, blah, 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 blah. Yes, our outer is a reflection of our inner, and do the spiritual work and be at peace. And a lot of times spiritual work isn't going, la, la, I'm not looking, I'm just happy. Spiritual bypass. No, it's going right there. Jim, thanks for being here. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Happy holidays. So, anyway, no, it's just being willing and able to integrate the shadow. And it actually makes us stronger when we can.
Don, I wanted to share that in terms of investing and what you're just talking about, like being able to get more emotionally and spiritually resilient, I actually am looking at a fund that is expanding mental health centers. And so that's one of the ways that I am diversifying my portfolio. So it's not the real estate, it is the actual business side of things. But yeah, they were like opening, dozens of mental health centers. So yeah, that's one way I'm doing that.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And it's a time, there's so much creative support. It's a time to actually dream big, go for it all. Get really clear. What does your heart really want? If money weren't an issue, what would you be building? What would you be experiencing? How would you be serving? What would your life look like? This is a time to dream big because anything's possible. So much is possible. There's so much support. So anyway, I guess I will wrap this up. I thank you so much. Many of you have been with me a long time, and I have appreciated you being with me this year. We are going into exciting, exciting times. It's not going to be boring ever. And I just thank you all for what you bring to my world and how you share and create change in your own worlds. And so I guess just one last time for this year. Go out there and create financial solutions, just one mom and pop to another. I will see you guys next year. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Don.
you.
See you next year, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey,
Bye.
bye, Mark.